DC is preparing to have a grand comeback after the end to the disaster that was DCEU. And we have a lot of
It keeps coming
updates.
back, right? We were having comebacks.
See, that was The Rock and then, some other people. But now it's like, it's over and now
Clean
a new
slate.
restart. But James Gunn's like, no, Blue Beetle is part of it. But anyways,
And
but also,
Peacemaker is part of it.
we have a lot of updates on that on the DCU, as well as Zack Snyder was on Joe Rogan and he shared some, tidbits. No pun intended there. But, if you know. But anyways, guys, welcome to Next IT. I'm Manoj, joined by Manoj Matthew. After a long time. Yeah, that's enough. And today, let's talk about DCU, man. Superman, not Legacy anymore, just Superman.
Which I really like. It makes more sense. You're starting a universe. You don't want to call it legacy. You have not earned the legacy yet. You start off with the characters. So I was like very doubtful. I'm like, this is the right call. Make it so.
But interesting how it happened because they started shooting on the day of the birthday of Clark Kent. So it's like, and James was like, I had no idea. It's, and people like, come on, dude, really? And he's fighting with them in the comment. No, I didn't know.
So, see, this I've said this before also. I have this issue with James Gunn. Nothing to do with his filmmaking. I think he's a terrific filmmaker. I've not watched all his filmography. The 3 Guardians movies I've watched, I absolutely love all 3 of them. The first one is definitely my favorite, but the second and third one I think worthy sequels, and they're probably like one of the best franchises within the MCU. And the fact that he was able to do it with a Guardians kind of franchise, I think that speaks volumes of his capabilities as a filmmaker. But how he deals with the PR stuff, I feel like I don't think that's the way you do it. You talked about the Superman legacy thing also. The title first came and then all of this could have been avoided if he didn't talk about it. The reason why I'm saying this is that whatever he says, first of all, is only pertaining to that social media bubble. The real money is going to come in from the real audiences. So this is just a small thing. But I'm saying that as a filmmaker, as you're developing a movie, you will have constant thoughts, you have constant rewrites, you will constantly change stuff because you're still developing it in your mind, right? So you don't have to share. I know he doesn't share each and every update, but even the amount of updates he shares, I'm like, dude, keep it to yourself. It's okay. Like I can wait. It's not like someone will take away the movie from you, right? I mean, okay, it's WB, so you can't say anything, but I'm just saying, like, just do your thing. I understand him. He interacts with a lot of fans. I remember, like, there was a time where me and my friend Jay, we had this Nerdistan thing. We were running this podcast. So we had an Instagram channel there and we shared something of James Gunn and he reshared it. Like he posted it as a story and we were like, dude, what? Like how? Like, we lost our minds. That was before he was in Warner Brothers and all. I think it was when he was making Suicide Squad, something like that. So I like the fact that he engages with fans, and that's fine. But don't share everything, man. Just keep it yourself. It's fine. Like, you only have to convince the investors within WB, your bosses. You only have to convince them, this is what I'm doing, this is the plan. You don't need to like tell fans everything. Like, you don't have to tell them that, what Creature Commandos is, Peacemaker, is it part of canon? Is it not part of canon? We don't need to know all of this now. You put a trailer out. You just work on the Superman movie. That's it. That's what I was trying to, like, I had this problem since the start. I've been telling this before also, but people keep misconstruing it.
There's someone else also out there who believes just like you.
Who?
And the name of that person is, you have not fed the city.
Oh.
Really, dude?
I don't know who this is.
You didn't get this reference?
No.
What?
I didn't get this.
You have not failed this city?
I didn't get this.
You gotta be kidding me.
I didn't get this.
Oh my god. You call yourself a fan?
Yes.
I don't know if you're kidding or Stephen ML.
I got it.
Stephen ML said it.
Stephen, why are you dragging Stephen ML into this? I will again speak for half an hour now. Why are you saying you have not failed the city? You're saying you have failed the city.
Because you didn't fail him. Now you said the same thing as he, like, He's also saying the same thing that, I'm just done with him just saying all this stuff. Just
See,
make
even
some
his
stuff and
words,
put it
now they are
out.
misconstruing it. He was talking about general DC. Like years they keep announcing, they keep this. He was just saying a general statement. People again twisted it. People are like,
No,
obviously
no.
he would probably want to be part of the DC universe, definitely. But what he says also, I think, is a valid point.
No, that's what I'm saying now. What the point you are trying to make, that just don't, make this announcement and this and just make stuff and put out.
Not required. See, he released a whole slate. Now, I remember we discussed that. I was like, dude, I didn't want this. And I said the same thing because I am done with announcements. He should have just announced.
I would have wanted this, but maybe later. Maybe a month or two, from today. Not before 3-4 movies are supposed to come. Maybe that was little too quick.
It was definitely quick. I
But
don't know,
maybe
he's fake.
it can also be that, the industry pressure or the investors and all that, you need to say what's the future. Otherwise, you have to put it out that time.
If you think about it, he's treading through difficult grounds because, there are definitely, Snyderverse is very devices. It's mixed. It's mixed.
Divisive.
Okay, it's mixed reactions. Okay, Snyderverse. And the thing about this, there are things that general audiences love. There are things that only certain fans love. And there are things that general fans hate, but special audiences love. So he's treading through this.
Basically, what I feel like is, for Marvel stuff, there's a united audience. Whereas for DC, they're just divided. One only want this, one want this, one want anything. So they just, everyone's
it is WB's fault. And we're not going to get into it. The whole management changed because it kept changing. So with each change of management, each set of fans sort of became born. That is what happened basically with WB. So look, I am fairly confident that Superman, not Legacy, it will be a great movie. And I think it would be more universally appreciated than Snyder's approach. I'm fairly confident in that. Nothing to take away from Snyder's approach. I'm a fan of his approach as well. But I think what they're going to go with is going to be something that audiences around will love. Now, will it be financially successful? Will it be viable enough to launch a full universe? I don't know. But I think best is to wait and watch. But our topic was actually Snyder, not James Gunn. And we got diverted to James Gunn.
No, yeah, the topic was DCU, but I'll come to Snyder. I know Tanmay is waiting to hear our thoughts on that, but DCU, we got a lot of, kind of inputs, a lot of about the story.
What do you think about the S logo?
Very, like, that will be the last thing I really care about.
Yeah, but, like, people are obviously, even I was like, logo can be whatever. If the movie is good.
Yeah.
But, like, I will say this, that I didn't like the craftsmanship behind the Snyder logo. Like, I loved the Kryptonian language and that the S that, like, it was something very unique. I thought what they did with the Snyder thing, I prefer that. But I think this is also a cool thing because many people are criticizing. They're like, hey, how can you do a Kingdom Come, which is a older Superman thing? How can you put it as a new one?
Yes.
And I think I have an explanation. So my explanation is, you look at the Batman movies, from Batman, the Michael Keaton one, to Joe Schumacher, to Chris. So if you look at Michael Keaton one, Joe Schumacher one, there were like changes to the logo, but they kept that curve shape and everything together. Once Christopher Nolan came in, he made a sleeker version of the bat symbol. And the thing is, it has two purposes. One, obviously, it conveys the tone of what they're going for. Secondly, you kind of have to differentiate. You can't have the same logo what you had before.
Yeah.
So I think it is actually a pretty, I think it's a pretty cool idea that he had, that, we'll follow the Kingdom Come logo.
It stands out also.
It stands out. So you can be like, this is our Superman. So now is Snyder's Superman logo and this and the Christopher one, everything looks different. Which is, I think, smart. That's, I think, the way to go. Now, I don't know how the story, I'm hoping it matches with the tone of what they're going for. But I think it also looks, I have not watched the animated series yet. I really want to watch it, the Superman one. It looks a little bit, it resembles that also a little bit, that animated logo, which that's also a little bit different. Like, it's a bit sleeker. So I think it's a pretty, I know many people criticize, but I'm okay with it. Only thing I don't like is I don't like the texture in that logo. Like, it's like very, I don't know, very plain kind of texture, because
the picture James Gunn posted that you're talking about, right?
Yeah. The texture of the logo, it was looking like very, I don't know, like it was a normal fabric itself. You can see from the stitching and all, but like when you go from the Snyderverse, which had so much Kryptonian language within that, and then you're going to this, you'll feel a little bit like, but then, see, you don't know what
It's
the
just a
story behind
picture.
it is.
No, but it's
And
just
you
a
don't know the
picture
story
also.
behind it.
Yeah.
Like, who makes the suit? Is it from Krypton? Is it Martha Ken making it? Is it an amalgamation of both?
Yeah.
You don't know the story behind it, so you can't comment on it. But I think, based on just the design, I think it's a good move, what you did.
But story-wise, there's a talk about that it's going to be Superman is already Superman for a year or two.
Yeah.
So it's kind of what the Batman movie was for Robert Pattinson. And then there are so many other superheroes already casted.
It's going to be the world, superhero world.
Yeah, and then there's this authority also. Yeah. So I feel like, and then, there were people like, how can you have so many superheroes will be, convoluted and this and that. And he's like, come on. This is a story about Clark Kent and Superman and Lois Lane. They are the primary leads. So but I need all this too.
Yeah.
And someone compared it to, if you look at the Batman Begins and Dark Knight, right?
So many
There's so many characters which you feel like one for each film should have been. Like the first movie, you have Ra's al Ghul, you have the mask guy, Scarecrow, you have Falcone. There's so many characters there. So it's like I don't think the fans just keep talking. Getting involved into many things.
There's a difference. Like, I would like to say that when Sam Raimi made Spider-Man 3, he was forced to put Venom in.
Yeah.
Like, the producers forced him. Like, you need to put Venom in. With the Dark Knight trilogy, it was like organic. It was not like they were forced to put villains. When they were writing it, they were like, this is a story we want to tell. Like, when they were writing Batman Begins, they were like, the fear toxin. Ra's al Ghul was already there in the plot, like training. And then Scarecrow was brought into antagonists that would pair with Ra's al Ghul.
They're interconnected stories also, right?
If you look at Dark Knight also, the whole Harvey Dent storyline and the Joker, so everything is very interconnected. One will not work without the other. So it was not like you can take this out and stuff, like it will work. It's not like that. So with James Gunn's approach, if he's writing the story organically, where he's like, these all characters are needed to function the story, you don't have to care. You can have a bazillion characters, but it will make sense. And I think I heard one guy in Twitter, I don't know who, saying that Superman's life will have all these superhero characters, and Clark's life will have like Jamie Olsen, Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So it's that parallel, like so it's like each version's life will have this supporting cast. So it's like two sets of supporting cast because he's like living an alter ego life, right? So it makes sense actually if you think of it that way. Hoping it comes together in the movie. And see, James Gunn has not failed yet, so you can't really say.
I think I saw that with the inner voice with Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
He does that podcast.
Inside
right?
of You.
Inside of You, yeah. So
kind of weird. Although the podcast is pretty good. I've watched a few episodes. I really like Michael. Yeah, I think he's a pretty sure.
So I was watching the James Gunn one. He did with this also. The actor was playing Lex Luthor now.
Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah, so with that also, I thought they were talking
He's done
about
with Stephen Amell also, I remember.
Multiple he has done with
Multiple
him.
times.
So James Gunn, I remember, James Gunn saying that he was asked for you pressure, and he said, very back, I was offered Superman, but I didn't do that. I was not confident. But this time I felt like I have grown as a person, and I was worried until I finished the script. The once I've logged the script in, I showed it to people, and I feel we have something great here. And knowing that guy, he's saying that I don't make films to set up next film. That's never the intention of how I make. He's all about storytelling. And he also said, why he took DCU role as a chief is that Peter Safran came in. Before, when there was talks about this, was that I'll only do it. I'm like, I cannot do that. But the moment we both came together and he takes care of the business, I take care of the creatives, it was a great deal. So,
because now even you can see Kevin Feige struggling.
Yeah,
like
because
to manage everything.
Yeah,
like just
but Kevin Feige also has a lot of people. Like I think Louis.
Yeah, I'm saying, you heard things where he's like spreading himself too thin. But with DC, I think you might not run into that issue. We can't say it's too very early days, but you can say some precaution is there. Like, see, same thing happened with Zack, right? Even when Zack was running the ship, it's like, when you didn't have a partner with him. Like he had his wife, but they didn't have much control. So you kept having this conflict. So because you need a producer with you who's in that side, when reactions come, they will not flip out. It's not like when something like a Deadpool releases, people like comedy, let's change our movie up. You don't want that kind of adverse reactions coming with the new DC because we have been through a lot as fans. Okay, so we need a balanced approach here. You need someone in the producer side also to calm things down. You need someone to say, David Zaslav, no, hey, it's okay, this is what we are doing. Like, you need someone in the
I think
business side
that's a
also.
good thing that the only person James Gunn has to report to is just director David Slattery. There's no middle people, executives.
But I am not very confident.
No, but there have been reports that there's some executives at WB which are not happy with James Gunn because he's making a Superman movie with not so known faces, and it's not
That's also very interesting because Nicholas Hoult is pretty known. Like,
but not but he's playing a kind of a maybe villain or a secondary character.
So when what's his name? Richard Donner, when he made Superman, 1978 Superman, he did the same thing. He brought Christopher Reeve. He didn't do the same. No, I'm trying to say he did something different. He brought Christopher Reeve, who's a newcomer. Okay. Yeah. But he surrounded him with all these talented actors.
Big, yeah.
Marlon Brando was there everywhere. When Christopher Nolan also took on Batman Begins, he did the same thing. He brought Christian Bale, who he was an up and coming actor, but he had done some pretty good movies before that also. Then he surrounded him with absolute legends. Like you had Michael Caine, you had Gary Oldman, you had what's the guy who plays Lucius Watson? Morgan Freeman. So you had
the Russell Gould guy.
Liam Neeson. So you had this absolute superstar of a cast. Actually, like just think about it now. Like, dude, I sometimes think, I'm like, dude, what a cast your Dark Knight trilogy had. Like, dude, each and every corner you look, it's like an amazing actor. So here you don't really see that. I mean, at least as of the moment, I don't feel that much like, oh, what a cast. But it's not like every director has to follow what came before. Like, you follow what
Nathan Fillion is like known person, but not a star.
Yeah, if you compare the star cast, it's not quite that. Like, if you just in terms
but that can be a good thing. I'm assuming it's going to be a good thing because there's no baggage, right?
Yeah.
But even Henry Cavill, when he came, he was.
You can think of Marvel when they did Iron Man. I don't think it was such a big star cast. Like RDJ was coming from a little bit of a darker phase of his life, and then you had a complete newcomer of a filmmaker, Jon Favreau. And the cast, I think only the guy who played Obadiah Stane was well known. I think everyone else was like fairly known, but it was not like a big star cast. Now someone will say that, hey, this guy was a.
No, we get the idea.
I don't think it was a big star cast. I don't think that would be a hindrance, but we'll see how it goes.
But coming to the story, I'm actually happy that I don't want to see again a film where it's without superheroes and suddenly Superman appears and what will world think. I think that just become like we have seen that too much now. I'm happy that we're getting a world where already superheroes exist. Superman is also there, and what that does is that it just shows you a different side of the superheroes exist of what the world will be like. And then I think that's what in DC especially what makes it more digestible is that then you understand a Justice League can form. Because these are godlike characters, what the world will like. You need other people with superheroes. That's a DC world.
It's very meta to the current. Because why I say meta is that I think he's making a movie for obviously current audiences. And we have audiences that already saw Avengers. We saw 2 different versions of Justice League.
Yeah.
We have 4 Avengers films. We have grown through the X-Men films.
The timing of it,
He knows that audiences are exposed to superhero movies. So no point of exploring that world where what will the world react to superheroes.
Finding superpowers and
so he's like, let's skip the superheroes exist. Now let me tell a more interesting story. So that's also a fairly good idea because it's opposite to what Christopher Nolan did because that in the world was different. That time people had not seen origin stories. Then he did Batman.
I would say even his films were never... They cannot call them superhero film at first glance. So this is a superhero film. It's actually kind of vigilante, thriller, action thriller kind of film. And then based on Batman, so a superhero. Yeah. But the films, in the world of the film, is not a superhero actually.
It's a crime thriller with a subgenre of a superhero. Dark Knight. Like it's kind of like that. So you can even Dark Knight Rises is like a tale of 2 cities. Like they adapted some story bits from that. So the approach was very different to but approach of James Gunn will be different. Like we have to see the film obviously. Like, there's no
I think compared to Marvel is more like our world, but with these exceptional beings or these people who are, so they've played in that world. So I want to see, James Gunn, like with DC, they're all green flags basically. That's the point. So all green flags.
People do say that there are red flags. Okay, and there is a particular community which I'm also maybe a fan of. Basically, like you can say there's a side of fans. Okay,
I'm so lost right now. I don't know what you're talking about.
who don't agree with a lot of people I see. Okay, and look, everyone has a right. You can disagree with what James Gunn is doing. That's completely fine. But to blame everything on James Gunn for not getting the Snyderverse is not right. I don't agree with that approach because it's not his call. Honestly, like, see, I'm trying to explain this in a way that you are brought to a project, okay, of DC characters, and you're saying that, and you're a filmmaker, you're a storyteller. You will obviously want to tell your own story. So Zack was also the same. Zack Snyder also, when he was brought to DC Universe, he wanted to tell his own story. So as a filmmaker, you don't see a businessman will think of a brand. They'll be like, okay, maybe we'll connect this. We'll bring back like the Flash movie, no, the climax where everyone came. That is a businessman doing. There's a business. Like, oh, we'll bring Christopher Reeve. We'll bring this random guy. Arey, who else is there? Check our archive. Put him also there. That is you don't want that. You don't want a manufactured thing. So I totally understand. See, the moment they decided that Snyder wasn't coming back, and this is all with WB, they are called. They brought James Gunn in. It's his call. He wants to make a new universe, and let him shepherd it. That's okay. You know, whatever happens in Snyder is unfortunate. I also want to see Snyder back, but see, the problem is that it's sort of passed. The time sort of passed. You know, it should have been done in 2017 itself. The whole Snyderverse thing. I was very interested to see that story. Even in 2021, when it brought back with the Snyder cut, even then, chance was very less of them going down that route. And see, the actors are in different places now. All of the actors. I loved that cast with Snyder, like Assemble. I loved their chemistry in Zack Snyder's Justice League. But sometimes, you know, things don't work our way. And it's definitely WB's fault. Entire full blame on WB's management. That's the thing. Like, you know, and that's why I am really happy that they have someone like Peter Safran with them. You need someone, because I don't want the creative involved to keep fighting. Like, you know, if Kevin Feige had to keep fighting, which he had to do initially, then Disney sort of streamlined it, and now he was just. You will not get movies like Avengers Infinity War. You'll not get movies like Endgame. You tell to a businessman that, hey man, we want to end the movie with half of the cast disappearing. We are ending it on a cliffhanger, you know, and we'll be making the sequel. You know, it's all people. They're like, no way, you know, we are not taking such a big risk. What if the movie doesn't do well? Like, even if you have built that brand, a businessman will really say that. What if the movie doesn't do well? So that's why, like, Harry Potter also, it took them like 6-7 movies for them to have trust that, okay, we'll divide the last book into 2 parts. Like, it took them that much years. So I'm very happy with the approach that James Gunn and Peter Safran has taken, and I don't see any blame that Snyder was not continuing should be on James Gunn. That's what I'm trying to say about the James Gunn.
But if the haters gonna hate, we cannot.
And they have every right to hate. See, people are hating on Snyder movies also, so these people can hate on Gunn. See, if something is not up to your taste,
but you can hate without even something come out. Like,
you can hate without insulting, and you can't hate something without it coming out. But see, the logo has come out. Some people will not like it. That's fine.
Like, oh, James Gunn, everything you're doing is wrong. Before he does something. So that's a toxic, you know, system.
See, that partially is, that's why I was started the way I said, no? Partially it's to James Gunn also, because he keeps talking so much. Then I'm like, keep on. See, because if your movie comes out, no, people are following the story, they're watching the movie, they're like, I'm into this.
But if, I have to say, I kind of like that he does it, but sometimes I'm like, dude, there are few comments that you don't need to respond to this nonsense.
You don't need to respond to everyone.
Like, they're baiting you and you're just, you know, taking the bait. That's why you don't need to. Because some people, you know, genuinely ask, you know, there was a guy who said, we keep asking from updates, how are you feeling, James Gunn? You know, so there was a cool, so that he kind of replied. Then there's, you know, certain things people ask him, the comic inspirations and this and that. I think recently also posted all the things like the Superman animated show, you know, that scene,
the influences he's having, right?
Yeah, so all those things he shared, I'm like, you know, that's cool. But there's some things, you know, he's kind of replying like, dude, you don't need to, just trying to bait you with to say something. And just, you know, getting into that.
If you're a true Snyder fan, okay, you are someone who fought for a filmmaker's right to freedom. Like, the whole Snyderverse movement, release the Snyder Cut, everything was you fighting for that filmmaker to get his artistic license back and release his version of the movie. So when you're in such a state, you can't criticize other people for exploring their artistic field.
Doglapan.
Yeah, like you can't do that. Like
The hypocrisy.
that is not true, right? You gotta see. You gotta approach. See. I can understand. Everyone will have different taste, but that doesn't mean that you have to say that other person's taste is bad. That I'm someone who enjoys a dark Snyderverse version. I'm someone who enjoys a comedic version also. I've enjoyed Marvel movies. See, there are some things that I don't like that much. I've openly said this, that Robert Pattinson's Batman movie was not for me. Like I openly said that, I was not a big fan. You can read my Twitter. Like I have openly said that, I didn't dislike it, but it was not for me. I openly said because maybe the Nolan influences were too much on me that, I just couldn't get into it. But I'm still looking forward to a sequel. Like I will see, but the first movie was not for me. I openly said that. But I don't say that Batman is a bad movie. But the taste didn't align. That's what I see the Batman movie as. Similarly, you can see this you can see Snyder's version used. And I'm saying this both sides. I'm not blaming just Snyder fans. I see that in both sides because I follow people, in my timeline, both the versions come. Like, Snyder fans hitting Gunn fans hitting Snyder fans. I'm like, dude, why? Respect each other's visions. Like, both of them don't care. Zack Snyder doesn't care. James Gunn doesn't care. They have worked together also in the past. They both, I am pretty sure they don't have
talking about Snyder. So him being on Joe Rogan and he said some stuff which is people are going crazy. Batman cannot kill and all of that stuff. But again, I think for me, people getting angry and how can he say this and that, and
it's kind of hilarious how much mileage Snyder gets even now.
Yeah,
like he will just say something and people all will be the worst guy to run DC. Like,
but dude, even for James Gunn, right? Like even if he cuffs, there's a 10 reports saying, "Oh, he cuffed." That means what that means. I'm like, there's so much investment into DC still. I really thought, they would have to do a lot of marketing to sell now DC because the brand is affected.
Social media bubble. I don't know how much of it will get converted to actual audiences.
How I see it is that the number of posts and, headlines DC stuff gets, it's getting because they know they want to get clicks on that. Just like how Marvel stuff gets.
Yeah.
And with what Marvel going down, even that people thought it's going to go down. But again, Deadpool, this cameo, that cameo, New York Star. Again, every detail, that people are trying to find out stuff.
It's still a bubble. I feel like for it to get converted to general audiences, it'll matter.
See, general audiences always gonna be just, if it's good, they're gonna go watch it. I'm saying
they are the deciding factor.
The hype is when you see so much of it because people are clicking on it. That's why they're doing it. So I'm like, still DC has that. I'm surprised because I thought it'd be dead.
There's so much behind the scenes drama that people just eat into it. People are like, I always said, that DC behind the scenes, someone should make a movie. Like, someone was saying, you can make a heist film out of the Batman.
But then Xavier Zaslav will, put in tax write-off, no?
See, I'm saying, have you seen Tropic Thunder?
No.
Okay, someone in this thing have probably seen. Okay, I don't know if I should pitch this now. I'll pitch it. You can cut it out. I am saying that. So in Tropic Thunder, Tom Cruise plays a producer. Okay, he plays a producer, a very greedy kind of producer. I am saying that you make a heist film out of some people trying to steal the Batgirl movie from Warner Brothers server. Call it Ocean's 14. It will be such a big success, dude. I'm telling you. And have Tom Cruise be the bad guy. He plays like Les Grossman, one character in that. You just watch, dude. You should watch Tropic Thunder. You will not even recognize Tom Cruise.
Eventually, saying it's a great movie. But talking about Snyder, the thing he said about Batman was very interesting. And again, he just had the right to, tell his version, and he's giving his justification for what he was trying to do. Like, I don't care, man.
He's not even justifying. He's like, this is what I did.
Yeah.
See,
and people are still getting angry. And how can you do why?
See, it comes back to what I was telling you earlier. Now that you got to respect each filmmaker's approach. Whenever they approach a property, they will tell their own story. Why do you want? See, if you want a studio managed story, you will get what Star Wars at after last Jedi, you got a movie, no? What was it? Rise of Skywalker. That's what you will get. If you want a studio mandated movie, that's what you will get. So I don't want that. I am more interested in a filmmaker thing. And see, people are missing the point. You got to always think, why did he approach it this way? If you look back, 2016 was when he approached Batman. This was coming off of the Dark Knight trilogy. Dark Knight Rises released in 2012. Mega successful Batman movie. It explored one part of Batman, his origin story, his growth, and his fall. It explored that part of a very fairly traditional Batman, you can say. Like, obviously, he didn't have a lot of the comic elements, but still fairly traditional Batman. So now when you're approaching a story, you want to tell a different story, right? You don't want to tell the same Batman story. So obviously, he has to explore the morality of the character.
And he also is very much influenced by the Dark Knight Returns.
Frank Miller's, Dark Knight Returns, which also told a story about an aged, older Batman.
Yeah.
So you are, because see, Dark Knight, the Batman Begins already explored a young Batman. So now where do you go next? You again want to do a young Batman? Then you're competing with such an award-winning, movie and version. You don't want, and why do you want to explore the same story? So you do something different. You bring an old, battered version. I have no problem with the version they did. Because you are trying to tell an arc of a story, which I thought was the story, with Snyder, I think the story ideas were actually fantastic. You're telling a story of a battled, wounded Batman who has resorted to,
Dude,
breaking his scope.
Every Snyder film, DC, I love the concept.
The ideas are good.
I even want to say that they are not the best films, but I'm still happy that they exist, because the things he explored were the things he has to think about. They kind of, neither were they open-ended for you to think, or neither were they, packaged in a very well-fashioned way. They were, convoluted. But still, I enjoyed that at least there was something new and refreshing.
They went very bold.
Yeah, something different. It was not a typical. And I'm happy that DCU ended and it was a disaster. But I don't think the world he was building would have taken up into a successful universe.
End.
Yeah,
it had a close.
It couldn't be a successful universe.
He was telling a saga of stories. Like, it was almost like he approached it like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, where he was like, start, end.
Yeah.
Done. And he thought of, I think, doing Flashpoint in the end and this river, like ending a new timeline. And obviously things didn't, and that is not what WB wanted. And again, as I said, no, it's the whole conflict between hiring a creative who wants to do something and the producer not agree.
The time they hired him, they also kept changing their, what they want.
They kept changing the objective.
They first wanted a Superman story. Then it became now set up Justice League.
You bring Batman for the sequel.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh shit, the Avengers are making so much money. And Age of Ultron has crossed again 1 billion, dude. Second part also, dude. This is
so I'm actually happy that the universe ended. It didn't work out because it never supposed to work out in that sense. And at least, but we got these cool ideas out.
You can never sustain a franchise if you're just looking at your competition.
Yeah, that's not how you make films. Yeah,
until a certain point, like when they did Civil War, they said, "No, Batman v Superman pushed them to do Civil War." And to a certain point, you can allow your competition to push you a little bit. But you can't let that drive your stories. So I'm kind of happy that DC is in a different place, Marvel is in a different place. So I hope they don't think about competing in that way. Obviously, in terms of quality, I want them to compete. I want both of them to make what they think is their best movies. Put your best foot forward. Make it, but don't have your story decisions motivated by what the competition is doing. That would be a true disaster. And with Snyder also, like everything he said about Batman, everything he said about his approach to Superman, dude, that's his vision. That's what he had. And I have tremendous respect for that vision he had. I have tremendous respect for what Gunn is going to do also. I had tremendous respect for Christopher Nolan's Batman also. You got to respect what these creators are doing. Or if you don't like it, then be just like, okay, it's not in my taste. That's a Matt Reeves one for me. I'm like, I'm not feeling it yet. Maybe the sequel I'll come on board. But the first movie, I didn't feel it yet. But you don't have to go ahead and you can criticize, that's fine. But you don't have to insult someone.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And that's, I think, a good way to end this video, guys. Definitely let us know your thoughts about, DCU and what are your thoughts about Superman now, not Legacy anymore. And the Snyder, whatever that was. I think Joe Rogan knew what he's going to get into.
Snyder also
yeah. So his Rebel Moon didn't do well, like I heard. So
I didn't watch.
I didn't hear. I just heard such a bad stuff that I'm like, okay.
And it kind of turned me off that it was not the director's cut. It was
but that also he talked about that, director's cut, what he thinks and all. So that also gave explanation. But I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get in the same loop that what he is and all. So let's
What
not go
happened to
there.
the Army of the Dead franchise? I was kind of like that.
People said no, they're connecting the.
Oh, they are connected.
I don't know. This
Uh-huh.
is still a rumor, so let's see. But guys, that's my thoughts, and we'll see you next time. Keep geeking out.